Welcome to Monk's Temple. Come in, and settle into this moment. Let the world outside soften, let the thoughts within grow quiet. Tonight, we explore a tender space within the heart, the space where our deepest wish to help meets the silent wall of another's refusal. It is a quiet ache, a gentle confusion. We offer our clearest water, and it seems to fall upon stone. What then? Do we pour until our own vessel is empty? Do we turn away? Or is there a third path, a way of tending that neither exhausts the giver nor abandons the one in need? This is an ancient question, one that the wisdom of Buddhism has gently turned over for millennia, not to find a harsh answer, but to cultivate a more resilient, more spacious kind of compassion. So, let us begin not with a strategy, but with a story. A story about a well. In a village plagued by drought, there was a woman who owned a deep, sweet well. Seeing her neighbors suffer, she generously invited everyone to draw water. Most came with gratitude. But one man, bitter and proud, would come only under cover of night. He would draw the water, but then he would spit into the well before leaving, muttering that he relied on no one. The woman discovered this. Her first feeling was a hot wave of betrayal. She wanted to cover her well, to shout at him, to make him understand his disrespect. That night, she sat by the well, her heart in turmoil. The moon shone on the still water within. She gazed at that reflection, and a realization arose. The well was deep. Its source was far underground, in pure aquifers untouched by a single man's spite. His spit was a surface disturbance, soon swallowed and purified by the depth and constant renewal from below. Her well's nature was to give water. His action could not change that nature unless she let it. The next night, when he came, she simply nodded. She did not condone his action, but she understood that his bitterness was his own drought. Her offering remained. The well did not chase him to give him water, it was simply there, true to its essence. Her compassion became like that well, sourced from a depth so profound that surface disturbances could not poison it. This is our first teaching. Before we can help sustainably, our own well must be deep, our source of compassion connected to something unshakable, beyond the momentary reactions of others. If this way of seeing brings a moment of calm, consider staying with us here at Monk's Temple. Subscribing is like adding a stone to this peaceful path, making it wider and clearer for all who walk it. Your presence here helps this sanctuary grow. Now, let us consider the nature of the help we think we are giving. Often, we offer what we believe is needed, a solution, a warning, a map out of the dark. But what if the person is not in need of a map? What if they are in need of learning how to see in the dark? Our impulse to fix can sometimes be a subtle form of impatience with their process. Buddhism teaches the concept of upaya, skillful means. This is the wisdom to offer help not in the form we find most impressive, but in the form the other can actually use. It is the difference between shouting clear instructions to a person who only understands sign language, and quietly learning to sign a single word of encouragement. The intention to help is one thing. The skill of helping is another. It requires deep listening, a setting aside of our own blueprint for their happiness. I remember an old teacher who kept a garden of medicinal herbs. People would come to him with all ailments, and he would often give them not the herb for their sickness, but a seemingly ordinary seed. Plant this, he would say, care for it, watch it grow, and then return. Perplexed, they would do so. The act of nurturing the plant, of daily attention to a small, growing life, would often work a change in them that the direct herb could not. Their sickness was often rooted in disconnection, in frantic energy. The slow, patient care of the seed reconnected them to a rhythm that healed more than the body. His help was not in the cure he could give, but in guiding them to discover the cure within their own patient attention. He offered a skillful means, not a direct solution. This leads us to a vital, and often overlooked, pillar of Buddhist wisdom in helping others, the practice of ahimsa, non-harm, towards oneself. In our zeal to be of service, we can unknowingly inflict violence upon our own peace. We sacrifice our sleep, our boundaries, our inner equilibrium on the altar of their need. We think this is love. But a candle that burns itself at both ends gives only a moment of frantic light before plunging everything into darkness. True, sustained light requires a steady, protected flame. The Buddha's path is one of profound compassion, but it begins with wise attention to one's own mind and heart. If your mind is a lake churned into mud by your efforts, you cannot reflect clarity for anyone. You must first let your own waters settle. This is not selfish. It is the foundation of all effective compassion. You cannot share a stillness you do not possess. So, the first question is not, how can I help them, but, is my own heart clear, calm, and protected enough that my help can be a gift, and not a desperate transaction born of my own need to be needed? Let us visualize this. Picture a tall, strong tree. Its purpose is to offer shade, shelter, fruit. But for it to do this season after season, its roots must be deep and strong. A storm may come and tear at its branches. If the tree spends all its energy trying to hold on to every single leaf the storm wants to take, it will snap. Instead, it holds firm at its root. It allows some leaves to be taken, knowing its essence is not in any single leaf, but in its resilient, rooted presence. When the storm passes, it is still there, able to offer shade once more. Our compassion must be like this tree, rooted in our own unshakable values and inner peace. Able to bend, to let go of specific outcomes, the individual leaves, without breaking, so that we remain standing, a place of refuge, long after the emotional storms have passed. This rootedness is what allows us to help without being destroyed by the helping. Let us continue. We have spoken of the deep well and the strong tree. Metaphors for an inner source that remains unpolluted and a presence that remains unbroken. From this settled place, we can look with clearer eyes at the dynamic of giving and receiving. A great deal of our pain arises from a hidden contract we write in our hearts. We offer our help, and in invisible ink, we write the expected terms: gratitude, change, acknowledgement. When these terms go unfulfilled, we feel the contract has been breached. We speak of wasted effort. Buddhism invites us to examine this transaction. True dana, or generosity, in its deepest sense, is meant to sever the bonds of expectation, not create new ones. It is an act of release. You release your time, your energy, your care into the stream of cause and effect, and you release your claim on how it should be received or what it should yield. Imagine you are a musician playing a beautiful piece in a public square. You play it with all your heart. Some people stop and listen, moved. Others walk by, talking on their phones. Do you stop playing? Or do you understand that the beauty of the music was in its offering, not in its audience's uniform attention? Your help is your music. Play it sincerely. Its value is not diminished by those who do not yet have ears to hear its melody. Now, Consider the parable of the two painters. One painter worked on a vast, public mural. He toiled for years, wanting to create a masterpiece that would inspire the whole town. As he painted, passers-by would offer critiques. "The blue is too dark," one would shout. "That figure looks unhappy," another would complain. The painter, desperate for his work to be loved and understood, kept changing it, trying to please every voice. The mural became a confused patchwork, pleasing no one, least of all the painter himself. He ended up exhausted and full of regret. The second painter worked in a small, private studio. He painted not for an audience, but from a deep, inner vision of truth and beauty as he perceived it. He knew his work was a conversation between his soul and the canvas. Occasionally, he would invite someone in. Some were confused by his style. Others felt a deep resonance. He listened to feedback with curiosity, but he did not let it warp his core vision. His paintings, over time, developed a powerful, authentic coherence. Those who were meant to find meaning in them did. The first painter is like helping that seeks validation from the one being helped. It bends and contorts, losing its own integrity. The second painter is like helping that stems from an authentic, inner knowing of what compassionate action is. It remains true to itself and thus becomes a pure, stable gift, whether it is immediately appreciated or not. This is where we touch upon a subtle but profound Buddhist principle, anatta, or non-self. When we help from a place of a solid, fixed, I, helping a separate, fixed, you, we create a duality ripe for disappointment. I am the wise one, you are the one who needs my wisdom. This constructs a hierarchy in the mind. When you reject my help, it feels like a personal rejection of my role, my identity, my worth. But what if we could loosen this sense of a separate I doing the helping? What if helping could be seen as a natural, organic response of awareness to suffering, like a hand reflexively moving to shield eyes from a bright light? In this space, the action happens, but the drama of the separate helper and resistant recipient softens. The help flows from a place of interconnectedness, not from a pedestal. It becomes less about me saving you, and more about life tending to life. This is not a cold, impersonal force. It is a warmer, more spacious compassion, free from the tight grip of ego. It allows you to care deeply without your self-esteem being held hostage by the result. I recall a winter I spent in a small hermitage. There was a stubborn old stove that provided the only heat. To light it, you had to arrange the wood just so, with enough kindling and air pockets. If you were impatient, if you tried to force it with too much paper or by cramming in wood, it would only smoke and choke. But if you prepared it carefully, lit it gently, and then gave it space, simply trusting the process of combustion, it would gradually catch, building from a tiny flame into a steady, warming blaze. The fire had its own intelligence, its own requirements. My job was not to create the fire, but to create the precise conditions under which it could ignite and sustain itself. So many of our attempts to help are like cramming wood onto a fledgling flame. We smother with our urgency. The other person's understanding, their readiness to change, is that fire. We cannot light it for them. We can only patiently, skillfully, create the conditions of safety, trust, and non-judgmental presence that make ignition possible. And then we must step back and give it air. This requires a faith in a process larger than our own action. So, we have the deep well, the strong tree, the musician playing his tune, the painter in his studio, and the careful tending of a fire. All these point to a compassionate presence that is rooted, authentic, patient, and free from the need to control the outcome. This is not passive. It is a highly active state of inner preparation and outer responsiveness. It is the cultivation of a heart that is both a sanctuary for others and a fortress for its own peace. It understands that the most powerful help is often not in the dramatic intervention, but in the unwavering, non-anxious presence that communicates, "I am not afraid of your chaos, your pain, or your refusal. I am here. And in my being here, steady and clear, I hold a space where you can, in your own time, find your own way." This presence is a silent invitation. It does not drag, it anchors. And from that anchor, the other person may, when ready, choose to pull themselves towards solid ground. Let us continue. We have explored the inner foundation, the well, the tree, the steady flame. Now, let us turn our gaze gently outward, to the one we wish to help. We often see them through the lens of their problem, a knot we are trying to untie. But what if we saw them as a landscape experiencing a particular season? A landscape cannot be argued out of winter. You cannot convince a frozen field to bloom. You can only understand winter, respect its necessity in the cycle, and have faith in the unseen seeds beneath the snow. This is the practice of kshanti, forbearance, patience, the capacity to hold the experience of another's winter without rushing in with a forced spring. In Buddhism, this is not passive waiting, it is an active, resilient spaciousness of heart that can contain the discomfort of not fixing, not resolving, not seeing immediate change. I think of a story about a master mapmaker and a lost traveler. The traveler stumbled into the mapmaker's shop, desperate, holding a tattered, incorrect map. "I've been following this for days. It's led me in circles. Give me the right map, now," he demanded. The mapmaker, calm, asked about the traveler's destination. It was a remote, sacred valley. The mapmaker nodded, then did a surprising thing. He did not hand over a new map. Instead, he brewed tea and asked the traveler to describe every wrong turn, every dead end, every misleading landmark on his journey. At first, the traveler was furious, this was a waste of time. But as he spoke, reliving his frustration, something began to happen. In narrating his errors, he started to understand the terrain in a new way. He saw where he had misread signs, where his own panic had blinded him. After a long while, the mapmaker simply pushed forward a blank parchment and a pencil. "Now," he said gently, "draw the map of where you have been. Not where you think you should have gone. Draw the truth of your wanderings." As the traveler drew, his own path, the real, experienced path, became clear to him. From that authentic starting point, the right way forward began to suggest itself almost on its own. The mapmaker's help was not in providing an answer, but in holding a space where the traveler could confront and understand his own confusion. His forbearance was in tolerating the traveler's initial anger and staying with the process, knowing that true orientation must come from within. This connects to a core Buddhist insight: suffering often persists not because the right answer is absent, but because the mind is not ready to receive it. The mind is clouded by aversion, craving, or delusion, the three poisons. When we try to implant a wise idea into a mind boiling with these poisons, it is like trying to plant a seed in boiling water. It will be sterilized, destroyed. Our role, then, may be to help cool the water. Not by shouting, "Stop boiling," which only adds heat, but by embodying calm, by offering a presence that is a few degrees cooler. Slowly, through proximity, the frantic mind may begin to regulate. This is a subtle alchemy. It requires us to manage our own internal temperature first. I remember a long walk along a rocky coast. The tide was out, revealing tide pools. In one, a small fish was trapped, frantically darting from one side to the other, exhausting itself against the unyielding stone. My instinct was to reach in and scoop it out, to throw it back into the open sea. But I paused. The shock of my hand, the violent change, might harm it more. Instead, I sat and waited. As the tide began to turn, a gentle wave washed over the pool's low wall. The water level in the pool rose. Another wave came, and another. Slowly, gracefully, the pool became part of the ocean again. The fish, with a flick of its tail, swam out into the deep of its own accord. I did not save the fish. The ocean did. My help was merely in not interfering clumsily, in having the patience to trust the return of the tide, the larger, natural rhythm that would provide the true solution. Often, we are like the person wanting to grab the fish. But perhaps our loved one needs the tide, not a hand. And we cannot command the tide, we can only point to its inevitable return, and wait with them by the poolside. This brings us to a challenging but liberating concept, the emptiness of the helper. This sounds cold, but it is deeply compassionate. It means seeing that there is no solid, separate, savior entity here. There is a confluence of conditions. A person in some form of distress, your wish for their relief, and your capacity to offer certain actions. When you release the identity of the helper, you are freed from the weight of their outcome. You become a part of the conditions of relief, like rain is part of the conditions for a garden. The rain does not blame the garden for not blooming quickly enough, it simply falls when it is its nature to fall. It nourishes what it can. Some seeds germinate quickly, some lie dormant for seasons. The rain's worth is not measured by the immediate blooming. It is measured by its faithful participation in the cycle of nourishment. When you help from this empty, non-solid place, you can give without depletion, because you are not a finite reservoir being drained. You are a channel for a care that is larger than your personal story. You are participating in the universal movement towards the alleviation of suffering, a movement called Bodhisattva in the Buddhist tradition. The awakened heart-mind. Your specific action may be a single drop, but it is part of the whole rain. So, we learn to sit by the tide pool. We learn to be the mapmaker who offers blank paper. We learn to see the winter landscape and trust the seeds below. This requires a monumental patience, not the patience of gritted teeth, but the patience of the sky that holds every weather pattern without being torn by it. It is the patience that understands spiritual and emotional growth follows a timeline written in a language we often cannot read. Our frustration is like a child tugging at a seedling, trying to make it grow faster. True help is providing the sunlight, water, and safe soil, and then stepping back to let the mysterious intelligence of life do its work. In this space of patient, empty helping, we find a profound peace. We are doing our part, fully and sincerely, but the burden of the universe's response is not on our shoulders alone. We are collaborators with a process far wiser than our own designs. Let us continue. We have sat by the tide pool, trusted the tide. We have learned to see the winter and believe in seeds. Now, let us examine the moment when patience feels exhausted, when the well of our compassion feels not deep, but dry. This is a critical junction. Here, the wisdom of Buddhism does not command us to pour from an empty cup. Instead, it invites us to a profound and counterintuitive practice, the strategic retreat. Not a retreat born of resentment, but one of supreme wisdom and care, for ourselves and for the other. Imagine a physician in an ancient tale, tasked with healing a warrior's infected wound. The warrior, in fevered pride, refuses to lie still. He thrashes, ripping open bandages, shouting that he is fine. The physician, seeing that his every attempt to clean and stitch only causes more damage, makes a decision. He steps back. He says, "I will be in the next room, with clean bandages and medicine. When you are ready to be still, call for me." This is not abandonment. This is the highest form of engagement, recognizing that the immediate condition for healing, stillness, is absent, and that to continue is to cause harm. His presence is conditional upon the warrior's participation in his own recovery. This strategic retreat protects the physician's skill from being wasted and prevents further injury. This mirrors a principle in the Buddha's teachings on teaching itself. He did not offer profound dharma to those who were actively hostile or closed. He remained silent, or spoke of simple, worldly matters. He waited for the right conditions of receptivity. This is upaya, skillful means, applied to the very act of engagement. Sometimes, the most skillful way to help is to consciously, lovingly, create distance. Not as punishment, but as an acknowledgement of reality. You are creating a boundary that says, "My help requires a partnership. I cannot do this alone, from the outside. I am here, but I will not pour my energy into a vessel that is currently turned upside down." This boundary is not a wall of anger, it is a gate left latched, but not locked, from your side. It says, "I am preserving my capacity to be of true service, should you ever choose to open." I recall a powerful lesson from a master gardener I once met. He showed me a rose bush that was being strangled by a vigorous, invasive vine. I asked why he didn't just cut the vine away. He said, "I have, many times. But from this angle, my shears damaged the rose canes. The vine grows back from the root I cannot reach. My struggle is harming the rose more than the vine." He then led me to the other side of the bush. "From here," he said, "I can see the vine's main root. I can cut it cleanly, without touching a single rose thorn. But to get here, I had to stop fighting from the wrong side. I had to walk away, circle the whole garden, and find a new perspective." His retreat was not surrender, it was a tactical repositioning to find a more effective point of intervention. Our helping efforts can become like fighting the vine from the wrong side. We get tangled, we cause collateral damage, we exhaust ourselves. The strategic retreat is the act of circling the garden. It is giving ourselves the space to find a new perspective, to see the root of the issue, and perhaps to realize that our only job is to cut our own attachment to the struggle, not the vine itself. This leads us to a deep, often misunderstood Buddhist concept, detachment. Detachment here does not mean cold indifference. It means non-attachment to a specific story, a specific outcome, and to the role we play. It is the physician detaching from his identity as the one who fixes, so he can make the wise choice to step into the next room. It is the gardener detaching from the immediate, frontal assault. This kind of detachment creates a space of freedom. In that space, love can actually breathe and expand, because it is no longer suffocated by the anxiety of needing to control. Your care becomes purer, less burdened by the unspoken demand, "You must change so that I can feel like a good person." This is love that honors the other's freedom, even their freedom to suffer, while holding an unwavering intention for their well-being. Consider the story of the silent messenger. In a kingdom, a wise queen was troubled by her heir, a prince who refused to learn the art of governance, spending his days in idle pleasure. Advisors delivered eloquent lectures. Generals threatened. Priests preached. The prince grew more defiant. The queen finally stopped all advice. She simply assigned a silent, calm monk to be present in the prince's chambers. The monk did not speak. He merely went about his own practice, reading serene texts, sitting in meditation, arranging flowers with exquisite attention. For months, this silent presence was just part of the furniture. But slowly, the prince's restless energy began to bump up against the monk's profound stillness. The contrast became a living teaching. One day, frustrated by his own boredom, the prince snapped at the monk, "What are you even doing here?" The monk simply looked at him, smiled a smile of deep peace, and returned to his reading. That smile, that unimpeachable peace, was like a mirror. In it, the prince saw his own agitation, his own emptiness. It was the beginning of his curiosity. The queen's help was the strategic retreat of words, and the strategic deployment of embodied peace. She changed the medium of the message from sound to presence. So, we integrate the strategic retreat. It is the physician stepping into the next room. It is the gardener circling to the other side. It is the queen ceasing to speak and sending a silent monk. This is not giving up on the person. It is giving up on a failed strategy. It is preserving the sanctity of your compassion by not allowing it to be destroyed on the rocks of their current resistance. It is an act of deep respect. For them, for their journey, and for the precious resource of your own caring heart. You are saying, "This current way is not working. I will not add to the noise, to the struggle. I will hold a quiet space instead. I am not leaving the building. I am simply waiting in a more peaceful room, with the door open." In this pause, in this retreat, miracles of readiness can sometimes germinate. And you, by choosing peace, become the fertile ground for those miracles, rather than the exhausted laborer trying to force a harvest in frozen soil. We have learned the wisdom of the strategic retreat, the power of stepping into the next room to preserve both the healer and the possibility of healing. From that space of conscious distance, we can now address one of the most tender wounds, the return. What happens when, after a long season of silence, of waiting by the tide pool, the person finally turns and seems ready to receive? This is the moment that tests the purity of our compassion. For now, the ghost of past efforts often rises. The mind whispers a ledger of slights, "After all I did, after how you ignored me, now you come." This is the ego, cloaking itself in the robes of justified hurt. Buddhism asks us to see this clearly. To see the difference between compassionate boundaries and resentful barriers. A boundary protects your energy so you can give. A barrier hoards your energy out of spite. The former is love, the latter is the corpse of love, preserved by grievance. Imagine a master jeweler with a rare, flawed gem. An apprentice, in arrogance, once took the gem and tried to cut it himself, against all instruction, badly scarring its surface. The jeweler, heartbroken, had taken the gem back and placed it on a high shelf. Years later, the apprentice, humbled by failure, returned. He stood before the jeweler, ashamed. The jeweler felt the old pang of disappointment. He could have pointed to the shelf and said, "See what you did? It's ruined because of you. I cannot work with it." That would have been true, in a sense. But it would have been the end of the story. Instead, the jeweler looked past his own remembered hurt. He saw the apprentice's genuine remorse, and he saw the gem itself, still containing latent beauty beneath the scars. He took it down. "The flaws are deeper now," he said quietly. "The work will be harder, and the result may not be what it could have been. But if you are ready to learn truly, we can begin." He did not pretend the damage didn't exist. He acknowledged it, then moved forward from the reality of this moment, not the ghost of the past one. His compassion was alive, fluid, and responsive to the present, not frozen in old story. This is the practice of beginner's mind, applied to forgiveness. It is meeting the person as they are now, not as the character in your memory. It requires letting the past be the past, not forgotten, but not allowed to dictate the present interaction. In Buddhist terms, it is understanding anicca, impermanence. The person who refused you is not the same person who now asks. Their suffering has changed them. Your patience has changed you. To cling to the old story is to cling to a ghost. True help flows in the present moment. If you dam that flow with the rocks of past resentment, you are not protecting yourself, you are imprisoning yourself and withholding water from someone who is finally, genuinely, thirsty. I remember a high mountain pass where travelers would leave stones in small, guiding cairns. A violent storm once scattered one of these cairns. A traveler, finding the path obscured, laboriously rebuilt it, stone by stone, so others would not get lost. The next season, he returned. He found the cairn scattered again. Frustration boiled in him. Why bother? People are careless. But as he stood there, another traveler came down the path, looking lost and relieved to see him. Without a word, the first traveler simply knelt and began placing stones again. The second traveler, understanding, joined him. Together, they rebuilt it. The first traveler realized his act was not a contract with past travelers to maintain his work. It was a gift to the present moment, to whoever needed the path now. His helping was not a monument to his past effort, but a service to the current need. Each act of help is a stone placed for the present journey. We cannot let anger over yesterday's scattered stones stop us from placing one today for someone who is here, now, in need. This relates directly to the Bodhisattva vow, the aspiration to work for the liberation of all beings. It is an open-ended promise, not a conditional one. It does not say, "I will help you only if you appreciate me the first time." It is a commitment to keep the door of wisdom and compassion unlocked, eternally. This doesn't mean you must subject yourself to repeated abuse. It means the intention to alleviate suffering remains active. You may have to say, "I cannot help you in that way, because it harms us both. But I can offer this way instead." The form of your help adapts to present conditions, but the wellspring of wishing them well does not shut off. This is what it means to have compassion without an owner. The help does not belong to you, to give or withhold as reward or punishment. It is simply a response that arises when conditions allow. So, We prepare our hearts for the return. We polish our intention until it reflects the present moment, not the shadows of the past. We learn from the jeweler who sees the gem as it is now. We emulate the traveler who builds the cairn for the person before him. This is how we keep our compassion evergreen, not brittle and dry. It allows for the beautiful, unpredictable possibility of redemption and growth, in them, and crucially, in us. It frees us from being the eternal jailer of our own grudges. When we can help again, without the sour aftertaste of, "I told you so," we experience a profound liberation. We are no longer helping to settle an old score, we are helping because it is the natural, right thing to do in this moment. And in that clarity, both giver and receiver are healed. We have spoken of returns, of unlocked doors and cairns rebuilt in the present moment. Now, let us venture into a more subtle territory, the art of invisible help. We often imagine help as a visible transaction, an act, a gift, a piece of advice passed from hand to hand. But the deepest currents of compassion often flow beneath the surface, in ways that leave no trace of a helper, only a change in the landscape of the heart. In Buddhism, the highest generosity is sometimes said to be that which is given without the giver knowing they have given, the receiver knowing they have received, and the gift itself being perceived as separate. This is help that dissolves into the fabric of life, like rain into soil. It is not about building a reputation as a helper, it is about becoming an agent of natural grace. Consider the story of the bridge that was also a teacher. Between two villages lay a wide, rushing river, treacherous to cross. A quiet, elderly woman, with no engineering training but immense patience, began the lifelong work of placing large, flat stones in the river at its shallowest point. She did not announce her project. She simply carried one stone, day after day, from the riverbank and set it firmly into the riverbed. It took years. Children from the villages would sometimes mock her slow progress. Travelers would ford the river elsewhere, not noticing her line of stones. But she persisted. One spring, after a flood washed away the usual ford, people discovered her line of stones, now a stable, reliable stepping stone path across the current. No one remembered who built it. They just used it, blessing the anonymous benefactor. The woman watched from a distance, unseen, her heart full. Her help was not in the glory of the opening ceremony, but in the quiet, daily offering that ultimately changed the geography of connection. Her compassion was in the patience of the stones, not in the praise of the travelers. This is helping that erases the helper, leaving only the helped. This aligns with the Buddhist ideal of sunyata, often translated as emptiness. It is the understanding that all phenomena, including our acts of kindness, are interdependent and lack a separate, solid existence. When we help from this understanding, we don't solidify ourselves as the generous one. We simply participate in the endless, flowing interchange of support that holds life together. It is a humble, egoless activity. Like a single cell in a body passing oxygen to its neighbor, it is a natural function of being part of a whole. This perspective lifts the terrible weight of personal responsibility for outcomes. You are not the sole architect of another's salvation, you are one stone in the river, helping to form a path you may never see completed. I once knew a man who made it his practice to anonymously pay the toll for the car behind him on a busy bridge. He never looked back to see the reaction. He simply paid and drove on. For him, it was a small ritual of releasing kindness into the stream of the world without any attachment to its effect. One day, stuck in traffic, he saw a chain reaction begin. The person for whom he'd paid the toll, in a moment of surprise and delight, then paid for the car behind them. And that person paid for the next. For over an hour, a wave of anonymous generosity flowed across the bridge, a silent, contagious gift that no one could trace to its source. His original act was the first stone dropped into a pond. The ripples traveled far beyond his sight or knowledge. This is the power of help that seeks no credit. It becomes pure energy, unburdened by ego, free to multiply in mysterious ways. This brings us to a crucial distinction: helping the person versus helping the situation. We often focus so intently on changing the individual that we miss opportunities to alter the field around them. A teacher, frustrated by a disruptive student, may try endlessly to correct the child's behavior. But a wiser teacher might change the seating arrangement, introduce a captivating new lesson format, or simply spend a quiet moment asking the child about their morning. These are acts that help the situation, creating conditions where the child's better nature can emerge. The help is indirect, environmental. It doesn't confront the problem head-on, it gently shifts the ecology. This is like tending the soil rather than tugging the plant. Buddhism teaches that we are profoundly shaped by our environment. Sangha, community, is a refuge for this reason. Sometimes, the most profound help we can offer is to become a part of a wholesome, calm, and supportive environment for that person, without demanding they acknowledge or even notice our role. So, we learn the art of the invisible bridge builder and the anonymous toll payer. We shift from wanting to be the hero of the story, to being a beneficial, unseen element in the landscape of another's life. This requires immense humility. It means our left hand truly not knowing what our right hand is doing. It means finding joy in the secret act, in the stone placed for a future traveler. It means trusting that compassion is a force in the universe, and we are merely its temporary conduits. When we help in this way, we are freed from the need for validation. Our reward is the act itself, the quiet knowledge that we have aligned ourselves with the fundamental principle of care. And in that alignment, we often find our own hearts become more peaceful, more spacious, more connected to the silent, generous pulse of life itself. We stop helping to be seen, and start helping because it is simply who we are when we are most connected to everything. Let us continue. We have explored invisible help, the anonymous stone in the river. Now, let us turn our attention to a force that can corrupt the purest intention, the expectation of a specific future. When we help, we often secretly envision a road, a straight, clear path from suffering to relief, with ourselves as the guide. We become attached to this map. But life is not a straight road, it is a living forest, with its own winding animal trails and unexpected clearings. The person we wish to help may need to wander, to get lost, to find a spring we never knew existed. Our attachment to our map can become a new form of suffering, for us, and a constraint for them. Buddhism encourages us to practice upekkha, equanimity. This is the balanced heart that wishes for happiness for others without clinging to the exact shape that happiness must take. It is the ability to hold our care lightly, like an open palm holding a bird, neither crushing it nor clutching it so tightly it cannot fly. Imagine a master weaver teaching a young apprentice. The master has a vision for a magnificent tapestry, a specific pattern of great beauty and complexity. The apprentice, however, is clumsy. Her hands create uneven threads, her colors are sometimes too bold, her sections don't align perfectly with the master's plan. The master feels frustration rising. He could seize the shuttle and do it himself, or constantly correct her, filling the air with criticism. But instead, he pauses. He looks at her earnest face, her hands trying so hard. He lets go of his perfect tapestry. He shifts his goal. His purpose is no longer to produce a specific textile, but to nurture a weaver. He begins to guide her to work with her mistakes, to incorporate the unevenness into a new, emergent design. The final tapestry is not what he first imagined. It is something else, unique, human, alive with the story of learning. His help transformed from enforcing a blueprint to midwifing a process. His equanimity allowed him to release his attachment to the perfect outcome and embrace the real one, which contained a different, deeper beauty. This is the practice of non-attachment to results, a cornerstone of the Buddha's path. It is not indifference. It is profound engagement without the strings of expectation. You care, you act, but you do not demand that life conform to your script. You become like a sailor who adjusts the sails with skill and attention to the wind, but does not rage against the wind for blowing from an unexpected direction. Your help becomes adaptive, responsive, creative. It is less about imposing a solution and more about dancing with the situation as it unfolds. I remember watching a potter at her wheel. She centered a large lump of clay with a firm, sure touch. But as she began to pull the walls upward, a hidden air pocket caused the vessel to wobble dangerously. The classic response would be to force it back to center, to muscle through, which often leads to collapse. But this potter did something else. She smiled softly, whispered, "Ah," and as the clay wobbled, she followed its motion. Her hands softened. She allowed the wobble to become part of the form. What emerged was not a perfectly symmetrical vase, but a stunning, organic vessel with a graceful, swaying curve that made it look alive. She did not see the wobble as a flaw to be defeated, but as information, as the clay's own voice entering the conversation. Her expertise was not in domination, but in deep, respectful collaboration with the material. Our efforts to help can be like this. When the person wobbles, resists, backslides, makes a confusing choice, we can try to force them back to our center. Or, we can soften our grip, listen to the wobble, and allow it to inform a new, more organic shape for our support. Our plan may be for a perfect vase, but life may be asking for a beautiful, swaying pot. This requires a deep trust. Not in our own plan, but in the fundamental potential for wisdom within the other person, even if it is currently obscured. Buddhism teaches that all beings have Buddha nature, this seed of awakening. Our job is not to implant the seed, it is already there. Our job is to trust it exists, and to provide, when possible, the sunlight of our attention and the water of our patience, believing that the seed has its own intelligence and its own timing for breaking open. We are gardeners of conditions, not manufacturers of blooms. So, we cultivate the equanimity of the weaver who embraces the apprentice's unique pattern. We learn the soft hands of the potter who collaborates with the wobble. We become the sailor who respects the wind. This does not mean we become passive. It means our activity becomes more intelligent, more graceful, less exhausting. We invest our energy in the quality of our presence and the purity of our intention, not in the futile effort to control a universe that is inherently fluid and unpredictable. In doing so, we find a strange and wonderful freedom. We can care immensely, yet sleep peacefully. We can offer our best, and be genuinely undisturbed by the form the outcome takes. For we have learned that true help is in the offering itself, in the sincere motion of the heart, not in the applause that may or may not follow from a world that is, and always will be, gloriously beyond our control. Let us continue. We have practiced equanimity, learning to hold our care with open hands. Now, let us examine a subtle shadow that can linger even with the best intentions, the hidden desire to be needed. This is different from the wish to help. This is an emptiness within ourselves that seeks to be filled by another's dependency. We can mistake this hunger for compassion. In Buddhism, this is seen as a form of clinging to a role, to an identity, to a sense of being useful. True compassion, karuna, springs from a sense of fullness and interconnectedness, not from a void. It is given freely. The compassion that springs from a need to be needed comes with invisible chains. It creates subtle debts and can foster helplessness in the other. To help wisely, we must first ask, am I offering water from an overflowing spring, or am I giving away my last cup because I crave the thanks? Consider the tale of the two healers in an ancient village. The first healer was renowned. People flocked to him. He would diagnose quickly, prescribe potions, and send them on their way. He basked in their gratitude and his reputation grew. But he noticed a curious thing. The same people often returned with new, or deeper, ailments. The second healer was less famous. She worked slowly. She asked many questions not just about the illness, but about the life of the person. She often gave simple tasks, breathing exercises, walks in specific places, journaling, more often than potions. And she spent long periods in silent meditation herself. Her patients seemed to get better more slowly, but they rarely returned with new problems. The first healer, puzzled, finally asked her secret. She said, "You are treating their sickness. I am trying to help them remember their health. You want them to need you. I want them to forget me." The first healer was feeding his own need for importance. The second was working from a sense of wholeness that wished wholeness for others. Her goal was their independence, not their perpetual return. This touches on a profound aspect of the Buddha's teaching, the goal of freedom. The ultimate help is to guide someone toward their own liberation, not to become a permanent fixture in their life of suffering. This is why the Buddha famously said, "Be a lamp unto yourselves." The teacher's role is to point the way, not to carry the student forever. When our helping fosters dependency, we have, in a subtle way, failed. We have traded their long-term freedom for our short-term feeling of being valuable. We must constantly check our motivation. Is this for their liberation, or for my validation? I recall a master calligrapher and his student. The student was talented but insecure. He would constantly look to the master for approval on every stroke. Is this right? Is this good? The master, wishing to break this dependency, began a strange practice. He would create beautiful characters, then immediately wash them from the slate. The student was aghast. Why destroy such beauty? The master replied, "The beauty was in the doing, not in the keeping." If you write to create a monument to be admired, you are a prisoner to the viewer's eye. Write for the sake of the brush's motion, the ink's flow. Then you are free, and your work will carry that freedom. The next time the student asked for approval, the master took the student's brush and washed the character away himself. The student initially felt shock, then a strange, deep relief. The need for external validation was, in that moment, washed away with the ink. The master's help was harsh but liberating. It destroyed the student's crutch to force him to find his own balance. Sometimes, the most compassionate act is to stop helping in the way that creates weakness, and to instead create the conditions for strength to emerge, even if it causes temporary discomfort. This is the essence of tough love, informed by wisdom. It is not anger. It is the courageous application of a truth, that sometimes the kindest path is to allow someone to struggle, to feel the natural consequences of their actions, to stand back so they can learn to stand up. We do this not with a cold heart, but with a heart so full of love for their potential that we are willing to endure their temporary displeasure or our own anxiety. We become like a parent who stops holding the bicycle seat, knowing the child must wobble and possibly fall to learn the inner balance of riding. The parent's heart may be in their throat, but their hands are at their sides. This is help that believes in the other's capacity more than they may believe in it themselves. So, we must scrutinize the wellspring of our aid. Are we the first healer, creating patience? Or the second, who reminds people of their health? Are we the calligrapher master, washing away dependency? This requires brutal honesty with ourselves. It asks us to fill our own cups through our own practice, our own connection to Source, so that what we offer to others is truly surplus, not a loan from our own dwindling reserves. When we help from fullness, our help is clean. It asks for nothing in return, not even the continuation of the problem that made us feel needed. It joyfully works toward its own obsolescence in that person's life. And in that selfless wish for their independence, we discover a deeper, more enduring sense of purpose, one that is not contingent on another's brokenness, but is celebrating, always, the possibility of their wholeness. Let us arrive here, now, at the end of our exploration, and at the quiet beginning of a new understanding. We have traveled through many landscapes of the heart, past the deep well and the strong tree, through the patience of seasons and the wisdom of strategic retreat. We have practiced invisible giving and released our grip on specific outcomes. We have examined the very source of our compassion to ensure it springs from fullness, not lack. Now, we come to the final, synthesizing practice, the cultivation of a heart that holds all this complexity without strain. A heart that can care deeply, act wisely, wait patiently, and release fully, all as a single, fluid motion. In Buddhism, this is the blossoming of the four immeasurables: loving kindness, metta; compassion, karuna; sympathetic joy, mudita; and equanimity, upekkha. They are the four pillars of a boundless heart. And in the context of helping when help seems unvalued, they become a gentle, powerful mantra for our inner work. Let us weave them together with a final, original story. There was an old musician who lived by a forest. Every evening, he would play his flute from his porch. The creatures of the forest would gather. The birds, the rabbits, even the shy deer at the tree line. One evening, a wounded wolf stumbled into the clearing. It was snarling, in pain, terrified. The animals scattered. The wolf growled at the musician, its eyes flashing with mistrust. The musician felt a surge of fear, then a wave of compassion. He did not stop playing, but he changed his song. He did not play a lullaby to sedate the wolf, nor a fierce tune to match its anger. He played a song of spaciousness. Notes that held the wolf's pain without trying to fix it, a melody that offered presence without demand. At first, the wolf barked and snapped at the air. But the music was like a wide, calm sky around its storm. Slowly, over many evenings, the wolf's snarling lessened. It would lie at the very edge of the clearing, listening. Its wound began to heal, not because the music was medicine, but because the music created an atmosphere where healing could happen on its own. The musician never tried to pet the wolf, never tried to make it a pet. He simply offered, night after night, the spaciousness of his song. One night, the wolf, now healthy, stood, looked at the musician, gave a soft, low sound that was not a growl, and walked back into the forest, whole and free. The musician continued to play for all who came. In this story, we see all four immeasurables. Loving kindness, metta, was the musician's unwavering, benevolent wish for the well-being of all creatures, even the hostile wolf. Compassion, karuna, was his recognition of the wolf's suffering and his genuine desire to relieve it. Sympathetic joy, mudita, was his lack of jealousy or possessiveness. He took no credit for the healing and felt joy when the wolf regained its strength and independence. Equanimity, upekkha, was his balanced heart. He did not get pulled into the wolf's fear or aggression, nor did he attach to a specific outcome, like taming it. He simply provided the stable, spacious condition, the song, and allowed the wolf's own nature to find its way back to wholeness. This is the integrated practice. When you wish to help someone who does not value it, you begin with metta. You surround them in your heart with an unconditional wish for their happiness and peace. You then touch karuna, feeling with them, wishing for their relief from the suffering that causes them to lash out or refuse. You nurture mudita, guarding your heart against resentment, and actually rejoicing in any sign of their well-being, however small, whether it involves you or not. And you ground it all in upekkha, the serene balance that allows you to offer help without being shattered by their refusal, to wait without agitation, and to love them whether they are in your life or not. There is no failure in this model. The only work is the cultivation of your own heart. You are not responsible for the wolf's snarling, you are only responsible for the quality of your song. Your song is your presence, your intention, your wisely chosen actions, or non-actions. You play it from the porch of your own integrity. Some will dance to it immediately. Some, like the wolf, will need to listen from a distance for a long time. Some may never seem to hear it. But your job is not to be heard. Your job is to play the truest song you know, a song that harmonizes with the great, compassionate heart of Buddhism itself, a wisdom that knows suffering, knows the path out, and offers guidance with infinite patience and zero coercion. So, as we close, let this not be an end, but a tuning of your inner instrument. When you find yourself wanting to help and meeting a wall, let it be a signal not to push harder, but to turn inward. Tend to your well. Sink your roots. Check the source of your desire to give. Refine your skill. Practice strategic, loving retreat if needed. Polish your intention until it shines with no expectation of reflection. And keep your door unlocked, not with naivete, but with the supreme confidence of a compassion that is too deep to be poisoned, too spacious to be confined, and too wise to need a thank you note. May you become like the musician by the forest. May your life be a song of spaciousness. A healing atmosphere for all who cross your path, especially those who do not yet know how to value the music. May you play on, through seasons of reception and seasons of silence, trusting that the song itself is the gift, and your ability to play it with a free heart is the greatest help you can ever offer to this world. Thank you for sharing this quiet space at Monk's Temple. May the peace cultivated here accompany you. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free.